Welcome to Lead with Soft Skills Podcast with your host and coach, JP Warren. This podcast is all about providing you skill sets to help you in your communication abilities, how you approach conversations and challenges, attaining the achiever's mindset, and also how to navigate your own trajectory. Soft skills are so crucial in how we not just interact with other people and connect with other people, but also how we influence teams and actually drive our success. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I experienced this past week when I wound up in the hospital. Yeah, I went to the hospital this week for some stomach pain. I had some pain on the sides and went to, I didn't want to go to the hospital. There's a lot of things that were hindering me from taking action, from taking care of myself, from going to the hospital. And we're going to dive into that a little bit, not just on a personal level, on a health level, but also how that translates into work and business and growth. And I've realized that there's a couple things that stop myself from taking action, and also I assume that it's out there as well, because the biggest challenge that stops us from achieving whatever success we want, whatever dream we want to achieve, is ourselves. It's not the external environment, it's us not taking action. Taking action is one of the most important things that we can do whenever we are building a business or just going after our dreams. And the big thing that's blocking us is ourselves. We're going to dive into that today, not only the 3 things that are holding you back from taking action, but also some small things that you can do to actually move yourself forward, get out of your own way, reframe your mind to face those 3 things that are holding you back. All right, so let's dive into this episode today. And so earlier this week, I was kind of having some issues. I had a full packed schedule that I had commitments to. I had a seminar at the University of Houston that I was supposed to speak to. I had a technology showcase that I was supposed to provide interviews. I had lunch with some leaders of a company that I haven't talked to in a couple of weeks. I wanted their mentorship and guidance. However, all this was my main priority: achieving these, going to these different events. Standing in, whether it's the interview, whether it's speaking, that was my main priority. What was not my priority? That was my health, all right? So what stopped me from taking care of myself, even with such sudden pain in my side? So the first thing that stopped me was, and I think this stops everyone too, number 1 is fear, all right? And so I'm not gonna just talk about my health right now. I'm actually gonna showcase on how this kind of translates to other aspects of things. Fear is one of the biggest things that holds us back. And I want you to think about this right now. If you're about to take a step, or you're not taking a step towards kind of your dream or kind of what you want to build, or an avenue you want to kind of proceed down, the fear is probably the big thing that's holding you back. What are we scared of? What are you scared of that's kind of holding you back? Chances are it's what a lot of people fear, is failure. All right? So failure right there. All right? Oh, this isn't going to work. If I do take this step and it fails, then I'm not going to be successful. It's going to be a waste of time. I'm going to be embarrassed. Oh, if I don't achieve this, that failure feeling is a real fear that a lot of people have. Not just business owners, but a lot of salespeople have. Everyone has that fear-based thing that's holding them back from taking those steps forward. And the fear of failure is a lot. It's a common feeling a lot of people have. But I want to challenge you right now. That failure that you're talking about, reflect on any of your idols that you look at, all right? Any people that you aspire to be, any people that have really tycoons of industries or really great leaders. I guarantee you, they always have a failure story. There's always a story that's something that they want to start off or launch or maybe go through, and it didn't work out the way they intended, all right? However, their idea whenever they do approach failure, or whenever they do approach things that don't work out the way they wanted to, and at the end of the day, that really is failure. Whenever you have a dream or an idea or a vision how you want things to go, and it doesn't work out exactly that way, that feels like a failure. But a lot of times these leaders, these people that actually that succeed, that shine, they view failure not as the end all. They view failure as an opportunity to learn, not just, hey, what went wrong, but what can I do better? All right, so number 1, fear of failure. First off, it's common, that's fine, but shift your mindset, shift your lenses on how you view failure. Is failure gonna stop you? Or is failure gonna be one of those things that inspires you to learn about yourself, learn about the processes? What could you have done better? Whether it's an event that you could have marketed better, maybe targeted a more specific audience, communicated better, been more clear with your marketing communication or how getting people on board. Whatever failure is there that's holding you back, change your lens on that. Change your frame. Your frame. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. Got out of the hospital. All right, so I'm a little bit kind of foggy right now. So when you are looking at failure, change your lens. How are you viewing it? Does it define you, or is it going to help? Is it going to be one of those things that's going to be a chapter in your story towards your success? Okay. The second thing that was holding me back from going to check out my health was my ego. All right. And ego often is a bad word a lot of times. Like, oh, this person's very egotistical. Ego is important. I think ego is important in this day and age as an individual. However, my ego to me was, I can't let this group I'm talking to, the University of Houston, down. I can't let my friend that I haven't seen in months, my mentor friend that I haven't seen in months, be let down, because we've been trying to rearrange this lunch for about a couple weeks now, and it just never kind of aligns. And this is the first time it aligned. I was afraid that I would let prior commitments down. My ego, come on, JP, you can power through this. You have a lot of things resting on your shoulders, a lot of commitments that you need to make. So my ego was really stopping me from taking that step to help my health, which could have been very serious and very dangerous. So ego, the fear, so again, fear of failure, ego, for me, it was the ego of I can't stop, right? I can't stop my momentum. Businesses are built on momentum, however, our lives are built around people. That was the realization that I had. My ego really wanted me to continue my commitments, continue my schedule. However, if I did continue to listen to my ego about worrying about every other commitment than myself, then that would have put me in the hospital for a lot longer than it did. I only stayed there 2 nights. It could potentially brought me there a lot longer. So fear and ego were really driving me to not take action towards helping myself, to not take action towards putting myself first. A lot of times I feel that whenever it is like these commitments, or it's like, oh, I got this person that I have to take care of, or this person I'm responsible for, oh, my boss says, I can't let my boss down because they're expecting this stuff from me. Now this is just on the health side. There's a lot of things that are holding us back, and ego is one of them. The belief that this image of ourselves, the image that who we're trying to portray out there, is the one thing that we have to have everything, all the nuts and bolts, perfect, shiny, in order to move forward throughout life. However, pause, take a step back, and what's the real thing that's stopping you? It's your ego. Whether it's saying, hey, I can't stop moving forward. I can't stop this momentum. Now translating that towards business or following your dream, your ego is saying, hey, you're a really great salesperson, or you're really great, HR manager. Your ego, that is your ego. That defines you. That's your identity. That's not your identity. That's not who you are. Your ego is pulling you back from actually taking that step on the new chapter that you might want to do. If you're an HR manager, let's say you want to, open up a bakery, all right? And you have no idea how to do that, but you've built your entire reputation, your entire professional reputation identity on being this HR manager or being this whoever salesperson, this killer salesperson, but you really have a different passion that you want to pursue. All right? Squash your ego. It's okay to be something that you're not trying to convince other people that you are. So again, I don't know if that made sense, but okay. So for me, not going to the doctor, fear is holding back, fear of failure, fear of bad news. My ego, hey, JP, you have all these different, your schedule's full. You'll go on Friday when it kind of dies down a little bit. So fear, ego. And the third thing is just being stubborn. I think a lot of times being stubborn stops us from achieving our goals. Being stubborn is, well, either number one, I don't want to learn how to do new tricks. I don't want to learn the processes of filing for an LLC. I don't want to learn this new AI software to make my life easier because I don't have a lot of time. Or I feel, I'm too old. I can't learn this new strategy, these new technologies to do this. Being stubborn, for me, I know where my stubborn avenues are. That's usually when it comes to the financial side of my business, the taxes, the stuff the administrative side of things. I don't like doing certain things when it comes to my business. I don't like diving in and spending hours, energy, and effort on things that, yes, that's very important in my business, but it's not moving the needle. So my fear, my ego, and me being stubborn stopped me from getting the best attention that I could have. And one thing, and I'm going to give you a couple quick tips and tricks right now, how to move past your way. This is going to be the juice and the sauce of this podcast. These are the skill sets that actually can take you from stopping yourself with fear, ego, and being stubborn to actually launching you. All right, and they're all small steps. So let's get into that first. I was talking to the, and this is kind of where this all stemmed from. I was talking to the nurse, and she was talking to me, and she said, what do you do? And I kind of told her what I did. One of my companies, I host mastermind roundtable sessions. And I said, this is what I do. And then I started talking about what I want to do. I started talking about this mentorship leadership program that I want to build. I started talking about several things that I want to do. And I realized there's a huge difference in saying what you do and what you want to do. And I realized I'm so tired of saying the stuff that I want to do. The only reason that I'm not doing this stuff right now, the stuff that I want to do, is because the stuff that's holding me back. It's the fear, it's the ego, it's the stubbornness. The stubbornness is figuring out the processes to get someone on board for this mentorship program. The fear of maybe this mentorship program isn't as big of a splash as I thought, but if it helps, but then again, pulling back my ego, if it helps one person, then that matters, that's impactful. So again, I was tired of telling people what I wanted to do. Instead, I wanted to talk about what I am doing. So I decided I need to start living my life, and the mantra needs to be live what you want to be, live who you are. All right. So now it's instead of saying, oh, this is what I want to do, I want to build this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. That's great. That's great that I have these dreams. It's great I have these visions. However, if I'm not living in that moment and actually taking those steps, then I'm a poser. All right. So what can we do? What can we do as individuals to get past ourselves, to not hold ourselves back? So again, the question is, what is stopping you? And that answer is you. So what's stopping me? The answer is me. All right. So here's some things that I try to do. Number one that you can do. All right. And this is for everyone out there that has a dream, that wants to do something else, that has a passion that they're trying to lean into, but hey, they might be too scared to kind of take time, take energy, take effort away from their daily tasks to do that. That's one of those things that, hey, I do this right now, but I really want to do this. What is that thing that you really want to do? All right. And let's talk about how to get you from what you do to what you want to do. All right. And how to live that and how to tie and bridge those together and how to tie that together. The first thing you need to do is take small steps. Okay. So I'm writing that here. Take small steps. Okay. Rome was not built in a day, and I've been an entrepreneur for about 3 years, a little bit over 3 years. And I always want to be about 3 months further along than I am today. And that is something that has plagued me and has stayed living rent-free in my mind and stays a source of anxiety. However, taking small steps towards your goal, towards your dream, can move mountains, make your day, make it completely different, all right? Small steps, that could be anything from researching how to open up an LLC. What's involved in that? Or small steps, let's say you have 15 minutes around. Block out 15 minutes, block out 30 minutes to design a logo, to pick up the phone and call someone and say, hey friend, or hey contact, if I did something like this, do you think this is something that I could generate revenue with, or would you be a potential customer? Take those small action item steps towards your goal, all right? And they have to be small. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Okay, just like anything we're doing. What does Gary Vee say? It's always persistence, patience and persistence, all right? Small steps happen, okay? The second thing, so when we're talking about fear and the fear of failure, and that often holds us back, like, oh, if it doesn't go perfectly, then I'm not going to do it. Or if it's not this big plan that gets executed, then I don't know if I want to get involved and really take the time and energy and effort to do that stuff. How about this? Instead of visualizing failure, try visualizing what happens if it works well. What happens if it is a success? What happens when you start visualizing success? Okay, so visualize, and I'm usually good at spelling, but not when I'm being recorded. So visualize success. All right, if that's not spelled right, don't worry about that. If that's not spelled right, I'm always bad. So don't worry. Don't start planning your dreams based off of failure. Visualize what it looks like with success, okay? All right, and another thing that happens, a lot of people are like, oh, if it fails, da da da. So what if it fails? So what if the first step, the first effort, the first event, the first product you launch fails? What's the worst that can happen? That's the question you got to ask yourself right now. What is the worst that can happen? All right? That can happen. This is something that I think is powerful to me, because once you know this, then actually, once you actually identify what's the worst that can happen, hey, if this happens, this is the worst thing that can happen, you know the answer. Now you can reverse engineer that backwards so that event doesn't happen, okay? So ask yourself, at the end of the day, will you still have your health? Will you still have your family? Will you still have people in your group supporting you? Probably, all right? Probably rooting for you, okay? Asking yourself what's the worst that can happen, and realizing that, hey, this isn't that big of a monster that I was worried about. This isn't that big of an elephant in the room that I'm not talking about. Address the worst that can happen to move forward. Once you know the worst possible result, which probably isn't that bad, you can navigate that. You can reverse engineer so you can avoid that worst thing that can happen, okay? Another thing is find your why. All right? What is your why? When you are pursuing your dream, when you are pursuing your passion, why are you doing this? I often find a lot of times, so for example, the mentorship program that I'm building, number one, I have no idea how to build a mentorship program. That's not stopping me. I'm still going to do it. I'm going to figure it out on the way. I'm going to trust the process, not the result. All right? That is a key too. And that's how life is. Life's always messy. Life never gives you something so clean, clear cut, a roadmap or anything like that. It's always trial and error. It's always figuring it out. It's always talking to people in your support group, okay? Find your why. I notice when, as being an entrepreneur, obviously it's like one of those things where, every month is kind of tight. Every month is kind of like, are we going to make it? Is it a crash course? If I start focusing on the financial side of, let's say it's the mentorship program, let's say it's other things that I do to bring people together. If I focus on just the monetary reward from that, it reduces my motivation. Honestly, it increases my anxiety because I just start living with lack of mindset versus abundance mindset. So finding my why. Once I realize that my why, it should shift to, it's not about filling the bank up, it's about helping people, and that stuff follows. Once your why shifts from what you're doing, why you're doing it, and it's external, not internal, not what I can get out of it, that's when the motivation happens, and that's when that spark hits and starts flying, okay? So living in the now mindset, okay? That's another trick you can do. When we're constantly thinking about what it's going to be like in the future, this is going to work, it's not going to work, I'm not sure if I can take this, I got a lot on my plate, Live in the now moment, all right? What can you do today to get you there, all right? Oh, it's going to take a lot of work for me to build this. Oh, that mentorship program, I have to do X, Y, and Z. I get that. What can you do today to get you to build your dream tomorrow, all right? So again, do these small things, and again, these are small steps. Block out 30 minutes of your day to, number one, reassure yourself, but number two, start planning how you're going to get from here to there. It may not be a clear path. You may not know the path, but that's part of life, and that's okay, because life is never clear, doesn't come with a set of instructions. You figure it out on your own, and I think you can figure it out on your own, 100%, all right? So again, also, when you do start making these little things, let's say you do take 30 minutes out and you design a logo. Let's say you do take 30 minutes out and talk to someone, see if they can be a potential customer, and they eventually are. Reward yourself for that. Reward yourself because you did something different today than you would have done yesterday. You're not living in fear of failure. You're not living by your schedule. You're not living fear of others' commitments. You're living true to yourself, and you're moving yourself forward and helping your trajectory. So again, what is stopping you? The answer is you. But what also is pushing you and motivating you to get you out of the way? That answer is also you. Be your cheerleader. Figure it out. take actionable steps and then celebrate the successes.